The chamber door slams shut behind you. Torches flicker against the stone, their smoke stinging your eyes. You are a princess, daughter of a king who once swore to protect you. Yet tonight you stand not as a jewel of the court, but as a bargaining chip. Men in foreign robes, the enemies of your bloodline, measure you with cold eyes. And in their silence you feel it. You have not been promised in marriage. You have been sold by your own father. This is no fairy tale. This is the brutal truth of history. Tonight we step inside the world of royal daughters, treated as currency. Their beauty, their blood, their very bodies traded for treaties. This story will reveal the harrowing fate of a princess betrayed by her own father, sold into the hands of his sworn enemies. From the glittering promise of a royal childhood to the despair of exile, from palace intrigue to survival in a hostile court, this is the story of power, betrayal, and the cruel price of politics. But before we open this chapter fully, let me welcome you to Whispers of History. Here we unravel the forgotten tales and forbidden truths that once shaped kings, queens, and empires. If you are listening now, wandering these corridors of the past with me, I invite you to subscribe so that these whispers continue to reach you. And tell me in the comments where you are listening from tonight. What time holds you in its grip as you hear this tale? I am always astonished by how these lost voices of history bind us across oceans and centuries. The story begins in a royal court shimmering with gold, where power gleams brighter than love, and trust is as fragile as glass. You are the princess, born into silks, raised in the shadow of crowns. Every smile you give, every word you speak, is weighed by courtiers and chroniclers. You are your father's pride, the embodiment of his dynasty's future. Songs are sung in your honor. You are called a jewel, a dove, a rose blooming in the fortress of kings. Yet beneath the glitter lies a truth you do not yet see. Your worth has already been measured, not as a daughter, but as a pawn. For in the halls of kings, daughters are seldom cherished for themselves. They are tools, living treaties, gifts to be offered or withheld. A son carries swords, a daughter carries peace or war. And from the moment of your birth, your fate was sealed, not by your heart, but by your father's enemies. At first, you lived the life of privilege. Gardens heavy with roses, tutors whispering Latin and Greek, musicians filling the air with lutes and viols. You were told you were blessed, chosen, born for greatness. But whispers creep into your chambers. Whispers of war brewing on the border. Whispers of debts too heavy to be repaid. Whispers of a treaty that must be sealed with something far more precious than gold. And then the truth strikes. Your father summons you. His face is grim, his words veiled in honey, but the meaning is iron. You are to be sent away, not to an ally, not to a husband of your choosing, but to those who seek your father's downfall. He has bargained you as the price of his survival. In your veins runs the blood of his dynasty, and that blood is the only coin his enemies will accept. The betrayal stings deeper than any sword. You look at him, the man who once lifted you in his arms, who promised you safety, and you see not a father, but a king making war with your body as his weapon. And there is no choice. In the world of crowns, even princesses are prisoners. The journey begins. You are led from the only home you have ever known, past courtiers whose eyes avoid yours, past guards who dare not meet your gaze. Behind you lies the glitter of your childhood. Ahead, the unknown. Each step carries you closer to your father's enemies, and further from the life you once believed was yours. The road is long, and the days are cruel. Guards ride on either side of you, their banners foreign, their language harsh to your ears. Every night you lie awake beneath unfamiliar stars, clutching a cloak that once smelled of home, but now reeks of dust and fear. You are not traveling as a guest, nor as a bride-to-be, but as a prize delivered from one enemy to another. The silence of the soldiers tells you everything. They do not see a princess, only a token of victory. When at last the city rises before you, its towers jagged against the horizon, your heart sinks. This is no welcoming kingdom. This is the stronghold of your father's sworn foes. Their banners fly high, crimson and black, and their people gather in the streets, not with cheers, but with mocking curiosity. Children point at you, merchants sneer, and women whisper as you pass. To them, you are not royalty, you are spoils. The palace doors close behind you with a groan of iron. The scent of incense fills the air, mingled with the metallic temps of weapons. Servants bow stiffly, their eyes darting to their masters for cues. You are led through cold corridors, your footsteps echoing in spaces that feel more like prisons than halls of splendor. Finally, you are presented to the ruler, the man your father once called enemy, the man whose name was spoken in curses at your hearth. He studies you with the patience of a hawk. To him, you are not a daughter betrayed, not a frightened girl, but leverage. His eyes weigh your worth, not in beauty alone, but in lineage, in the power your bloodline lends him. He does not speak to you first. He speaks about you to his advisors, as though you were already his possession. And in that silence, you feel the last thread of your father's protection snap. Days turn into weeks, and you begin to understand the cruelty of your new life. You are lodged in chambers richly adorned, yet every comfort is a cage. The gowns are heavy with jewels, but they bind you tighter than chains. The food is abundant, yet each meal tastes of bitterness. For every bite reminds you that you are here to serve the ambition of others. You are dressed not as yourself, but as their trophy. Yet in the stillness of night, you think back to your father's court. You remember the whispers of war, the debts unpaid, the enemies pressing in, and slowly you begin to see the truth that tears at your soul. Your father did not sell you out of hatred. He sold you because he had no other choice. To save his crown, he sacrificed you. To save his throne, he offered yours. And though the wound festers with betrayal, the knowledge offers no comfort. For in the game of kings, daughters are always the first to bleed. But not all in this palace despise you. A handful of servants, young women bound to your chambers, begin to speak softly when the guards are gone. They tell you stories of this court, of intrigue, of rivals, of the ruler's cruelty to his own blood. They whisper warnings of women who entered these halls as brides or captives and vanished into silence. And you realize with growing dread that your fate is not yet sealed. It can grow darker still. You watch, you listen, you learn. The ruler's court is a nest of vipers, each noble seeking advantage, each ally hiding a dagger. You are drawn into their gaze as both a pawn and a threat. Some see you as a tool to manipulate, others as a rival to destroy. And through it all, you cling to one fragile truth. If you are to survive, you cannot remain only a victim. One night, you stand at the window of your chamber, looking out across the city that now holds you captive. The torches flicker in the courtyards, the banners snap in the wind, and the sky presses down heavy with silence. And you make a vow, whispered only to yourself, carried away by the night air. If you must live as the daughter of betrayal, you will not die as one. The palace is a gilded snare. Every corridor gleams with marble, every chamber drips with silk, but behind the beauty lies constant watchfulness. Eyes follow you everywhere, guards who measure your every step, concubines who whisper behind painted fans, advisors who weigh your value in schemes. You are never alone, yet you are always isolated. To them, you are not a woman. You are a weapon, one forged in betrayal. And yet, the longer you remain, the more you begin to see. This enemy court is not united. Beneath the glitter lies rot. Beneath the loyalty lies venom. Noble families feud for influence. Wives and concubines claw for position. Advisors plot against each other with ink and steel. Even the ruler himself, the man your father once cursed, is not invincible. He grows restless, paranoid, snapping at those who fail him. His empire is mighty, but his throne is surrounded by cracks. You learn quickly, for survival demands it. At feasts, you watch how wine loosens tongues. In corridors, you notice which servants bow deeply and which avert their gaze. You hear laughter that hides insults, promises that mask threats. Slowly, you begin to gather the invisible threads that bind this palace together. And in those threads, you sense something extraordinary. Even as a captive, you possess power. For you are no common prisoner. You carry royal blood. You are the daughter of a king, however treacherous his choice. And though you were sold, you remain valuable, not for who you are, but for what you represent. Alliances may be forged through you, rival factions may seek to control you, and enemies may plot to silence you. In your captivity lies influence, and in influence lies the chance to endure. The women of the palace know this well. They begin to circle you, each seeking advantage. One offers kindness, pressing a ring into your hand as a token of friendship. Another speaks of loyalty to your father, promising to be your ally in secret. Still another warns you against trusting anyone, her eyes sharp with suspicion. Each word, each gesture, is part of the same deadly game. To claim you, to use you, to profit from your presence. At night, you replay every conversation, every smile, every warning. You lie awake beneath gilded ceilings, your heart heavy but your mind sharpening. Once, you were a child, pampered by privilege, believing your father's love was shield enough. Now, you are something else. A pawn, yes, but also a player. And in this new role, silence becomes your ally. You speak little, but you listen to everything. You offer no promises, but you weigh every one offered to you. You begin to craft a mask, hiding your fear behind measured words, concealing your despair behind a gaze as calm as still water. One evening, the ruler summons you. The hall is dimly lit, the air thick with incense. He sits upon his throne, his eyes hard and searching. Around him stand advisors, their faces masks of calculation. He speaks not to you as a daughter or a woman, but as a symbol. He tells you that your presence in his court proves his triumph, that through you, your father has bent the knee, that you are the living trophy of his victory. But then he leans closer, his voice low, his words cutting like a blade. Remember, he says, your life here depends on obedience. Defy me, and you will vanish, as others have before you. The hall falls silent. You bow, outwardly submissive, inwardly burning. For in that moment you understand what your father's enemies fear most. Not your obedience, but your will. You are no soldier, no statesman, yet you are dangerous, because you still have a choice. You can endure, you can resist, you can even twist your captivity into something greater than survival. And as you leave the hall, the torches casting your shadow long against the walls, you make another vow. You will not let your father's betrayal be the final word of your story. The palace breathes like a living beast, restless and unpredictable. By day it shimmers with feasts and ceremonies. By night it seethes with whispers and plotting. You have learned to walk softly, to keep your eyes lowered yet your mind alert. Every chamber hides secrets, and now you are beginning to recognize the currents that run beneath the surface. Your presence has become a spark. Rival factions argue in hushed voices over how you should be used. Some press for your marriage to a noble of their choosing, a move that could seal their own rise to power. Others wish to keep you unmarried, a permanent hostage whose existence reminds your father of his humiliation. Still others see in you a dangerous rival, a woman of royal blood who could, if supported, become a queen in her own right. The court's women are the first to test you. A favored consort arrives at your chambers with honeyed words, placing gifts of embroidered silks at your feet. We are not so different, you and I, she says, her smile sharp as glass. Another arrives the next day with no gifts, only warnings. She whispers of poison slipped into cups, of rivals banished with accusations, of eyes everywhere. Each one demands your trust, and each one threatens it. You realize quickly that the harem is no sanctuary. It is another battlefield, and yet, through the chaos, you begin to shape your role. You play the part of the obedient captive, bowing when commanded, thanking when dismissed. But beneath the mask, you measure every word, every gesture, every shift of power. You speak carefully, planting seeds of doubt in the right ears, offering silence where silence is more valuable than truth. The game is perilous, but for the first time, you are not merely surviving, you are playing. Then, one evening, the test arrives. A banquet is held in the ruler's honor. The great hall glows with torchlight, music weaving through the air as courtiers feast on silver platters. You are summoned, dressed in garments heavy with jewels, a living reminder of your father's defeat. As you sit quietly at the edge of the hall, you notice the tension simmering just beneath the laughter. Two noble factions, long at odds, have chosen this night to circle each other more closely. One of them approaches you. His words are flattering, his tone respectful, but his intent is clear. He wants you to align with him. With my house's support, he murmurs, your captivity could be more than chains. It could be opportunity. Together we could shift the balance of this court. His promise is temptation wrapped in silk. But before you can answer, another approaches. His rival, his voice is sharper, his smile colder. Be careful, princess, he warns softly, his eyes cutting to the first noble. Trust the wrong hand, and you will vanish as quickly as you arrived. There are those who would see you gone. Choose wisely, or not at all. The music swells, masking their words from the ears of others. But you feel the weight of every syllable. Two men, two factions, each demanding your loyalty. To choose is to take a side in a war not yet declared. To refuse is to invite suspicion from both. Your heart races, but your face remains calm. You recall your father's betrayal, the ruler's threats, the women's whispered warnings. And you realize that your answer tonight will shape not only your survival, but your place in this court. As the torches crackle and the feast continues, you smile faintly, offering no clear allegiance, only a carefully chosen phrase that leaves both men questioning your intent. It is a gamble, a delicate dance on the razor's edge of intrigue. And as you rise from the table, the weight of their eyes upon your back, you know that the palace has begun to test you in earnest. One misstep, one wrong word, and the game will devour you whole. The palace no longer sees you as a silent captive. Your presence now carries weight, though it is cloaked in shadows. Whispers follow you through the corridors. Some speak of your beauty, others of your cunning, still others of your danger. You are becoming more than a trophy. You are becoming a variable, a player in a game that despises uncertainty. The nobles test you constantly. One day they shower you with gifts, silks, perfumes, jewels heavy enough to bruise your skin. The next they question your loyalty, their eyes sharp, their words laced with traps. You know the truth. They are not offering generosity, nor demanding trust. They are measuring you, weighing your potential, deciding whether you can be used or whether you must be destroyed. And you begin to see their cruelty in action. A young courtier, barely older than yourself, is accused of treachery. You watched him laugh only nights before, his voice warm, his gaze careless. But now he is dragged through the palace courtyard, bound and beaten. The accusations are thin, the evidence non-existent, but the outcome is certain. Before the torches of the court, he is executed, his body left as a warning. His family vanishes overnight, their names scrubbed from memory. And in the silence that follows, you understand the truth. Here, lives are currency, and loyalty is a noose. The ruler watches you more closely now. His gaze lingers, testing, searching for cracks in your mask. You bow when required. You speak only when addressed, but you feel his suspicion gnawing at you. He knows you are not broken. He senses the steel beneath your silence. And though he commands your life, he cannot command your spirit. That alone makes you dangerous. Still, you tread carefully. You learn to play factions against one another with subtlety. When one noble asks your favor, you delay, knowing the rival will grow restless. When the women of the harem demand your confidence, you offer fragments of truth, never the whole. You become a mirror, reflecting what others wish to see, while keeping your true thoughts buried deep. In silence lies your shield. In patience lies your weapon. But patience cannot shield you forever. One night, a servant rushes into your chambers, her face pale, her hands trembling. She whispers that poison was found in your cup, slipped there during the evening feast. Your heart pounds, your breath falters, for in that instant, the truth pierces you. The game has moved from words to death. Someone has decided that you are not merely a pawn to be moved, but a piece to be removed. And yet, you do not break. You send the servant away with silence, hiding the terror clawing at your chest. You know better than to scream or accuse, for in this palace, weakness is blood in the water. Instead, you pour the poisoned cup into the fire, watching the flames hiss and sputter. You sit in the darkness, your mind cold, your resolve sharper than ever. If they seek to destroy you, then you must become more than they fear. Days later, rumors ripple through the court. Some say you are under the ruler's special protection. Others claim you have allies in the shadows, noblemen who will avenge you if you are harmed. The truth is neither, yet you do nothing to silence the whispers. For once, rumors serve you. They wrap around you like armor, making enemies hesitate. But hesitation is fleeting. You know the danger has only begun. Each day you survive, you climb higher on the ladder of intrigue. And the higher you climb, the more perilous the fall. So you sharpen your mask, polish your silence, and prepare yourself. For if the court wishes to play, you will play, not as a pawn, not as a victim, but as a princess whose betrayal has become her weapon. The palace watches you differently now. Where once they saw a trembling captive, now they see a figure cloaked in silence and rumor, a woman who cannot be dismissed. Whispers travel faster than footsteps. They say you survived poison without fear, that you have secret allies, that your bloodline protects you even here. None of it is fully true, yet in this court, perception is more dangerous than truth. Factions lean toward you with more urgency. Nobles send subtle gifts through servants, books, rare fabrics, coded letters hinting at alliances. Even some of the ruler's advisors, once cold and distant, now bow a little deeper, their eyes betraying respect or calculation. The ruler's wives and concubines, however, circle with sharper claws. To them, you are a rival, a foreign rose planted in their garden, a potential thorn in their grasp for power. And at the center of it all sits the ruler. His gaze weighs you at every banquet, every audience. He sees the way nobles linger near you, the way the harem whispers your name. His suspicion thickens like smoke. One day he treats you with courtesy, another with cruelty. His unpredictability gnaws at you, for in his shifting moods lies your fate. Then the test arrives. You are summoned to the throne room, its torches casting long shadows across the marble floor. The ruler sits in silence, his advisors gathered around him like wolves. In his hand he holds a sealed letter, one that bears your father's crest. He breaks the wax slowly, deliberately, and begins to read aloud. It is a plea. Your father begs for your return, offering gold, land, promises of peace. He writes not as a father, but as a desperate king, bargaining for what he once discarded. His words drip with remorse, but also with calculation. And in every syllable, you hear the echo of betrayal. The ruler lowers the letter, his eyes fixed on you. The court falls silent, waiting for his decision. You stand motionless, your heart pounding. Will he send you back as a bargaining chip? Will he refuse and tighten your chains? Or will he decide that your father's plea proves you are too dangerous to live? He leans forward, his voice low but sharp as a blade. Your father begs for you, princess. Tell me, do you wish to return to him, or do you belong to us now? The hall holds its breath. Every noble, every servant, every rival waits for your reply. The question is a trap. To profess loyalty to your father is to confess treason. To profess loyalty to your captor is to betray your own blood. Either path leads to peril, but you have learned to survive here. You meet his gaze. Your voice calm, though your veins quake with fear. And instead of answering directly, you speak of loyalty not to men, but to destiny, not to crowns, but to survival. You tell him you are a daughter of kings, forged in betrayal, shaped by captivity, and that wherever you are placed, you endure. Your words are careful, layered, impossible to twist into treason, yet impossible to dismiss. The ruler studies you, his eyes narrowing. The court shifts nervously, and then he laughs. A sharp, sudden laugh that echoes against the marble walls. Endure, then, he says coldly. Endure as long as fate permits. The moment passes, but the danger deepens. For though he spared you, you know his suspicion grows. He does not trust you. Perhaps he never will. Yet in his grudging respect, in his unwillingness to dismiss you as weak, lies a truth you cannot ignore. You have become something more than his prisoner. You are his problem, and problems in the palace rarely live long. That night, as you return to your chambers, the torches flickering in the halls, you feel the weight of the game pressing harder than ever. You have survived poison. You have survived betrayal. But now, survival alone will not be enough. You must decide. Will you remain a captive playing defense, or will you seize your chance to turn the game in your favor? Because in this palace, only those who grasp power live long enough to tell their story. Time passes, but in the palace, time is a blade. Each day you survive, the edge grows sharper. You have learned to speak with silence, to answer with riddles, to cloak your fear behind a mask of calm. Yet even masks begin to crack. The ruler's suspicion never fades. The noble's hunger never weakens. And whispers follow you like shadows. Whispers of plots, of marriages, of death. One night, a messenger arrives under cover of darkness. He brings no banner, no seal, only words carried in whispers. A faction within the palace seeks your aid. They speak of rebellion, of toppling the ruler, of placing a more pliant man on the throne, one who would need your bloodline to secure his rule. Join us, the messenger urges, and you will not be a prisoner, but a queen. The offer burns like fire in your veins. Freedom, power, revenge against the man who holds you captive, and perhaps against the father who betrayed you. Yet with it comes danger as deep as the Bosporus itself. For if you accept and the plot fails, you will die. If you refuse, you may live, but only as a prisoner until your last breath. You sit in silence long after the messenger departs, your mind circling like a falcon in the night sky. Betrayal has defined your life. Your father's betrayal, the court's treachery, the ruler's cruelty, and now the choice lies with you, to betray in turn or to endure until the end. History does not record which path you chose. Some chronicles whisper that you sided with the rebels, only to be discovered, dragged in chains before the throne, and executed without mercy. Others suggest you endured in silence, fading into obscurity, your name buried beneath the weight of treaties and time. Still others believe you turned your captivity into subtle power, shaping the court from within, a shadow queen in a gilded cage. But perhaps the truth is simpler and crueler. Perhaps you were never meant to be remembered at all, for that is the fate of daughters in the games of kings. They are sold, betrayed, exchanged like coin. Their bodies bear the weight of treaties, their lives the cost of peace. Their names seldom survive the chronicles, written only in footnotes or forgotten entirely. Yet without them, dynasties would crumble, empires would falter, and kings would lose their crowns. As you stand at the palace window for the last time, the night heavy with silence, You look out across the city that was never yours. Somewhere beyond the horizon lies your father's land, the home you once believed would protect you. Yet you know now that walls of stone cannot shield against betrayal, for betrayal begins not outside, but within. And so your story lingers, not in monuments or epics, but in whispers. Whispers of a princess who was not given away, but sold. Whispers of a daughter who bore the weight of her father's sins. Whispers of a woman who stood between kingdoms, enduring chains of silk and daggers of silence. Because history remembers the kings who fought, the rulers who conquered, the treaties that reshaped empires. But hidden in the shadows are stories like yours. Stories of those who had no choice, who were sacrificed, who became pawns in games they did not choose. And sometimes, it is those forgotten whispers that echo the loudest across the centuries.